How you going, people? Crazy cop story here. These are two back from my Air Force days. So the first one is this is probably one of the few times that I abused my authority. Oh my God, he's admitting on YouTube that cops abuse their yeah, okay, whatever. So this was one time that I can honestly say that I probably used more force than was necessary, and I was more aggressive than I needed to be, and I was using my power because I was pissed off. But all right, whatever. So I'm working as a cop on the Air Force base, and I happen to be up and talking to the desk sergeant, and I was the flight chief at the time, so you know we were doing whatever we do, blotters or figuring out how to do code 7 and get people to lunch, or why we need this posting or whatever. So we're up there BSing, and most people on Air Force base, they usually call 911 instead of coming up and to report a crime. So I wasn't expecting somebody to come up to the desk to report a crime, but she did. So this lady walks in crying and carrying a little bag, and she's just so upset and crying, and I'm like, what the? You know, so immediately my hair stands up on the back of the neck. Why is she crying? Is somebody chasing her? What's going on? Is this domestic violence? Is she trying to, you know, was she just beat up? So I'm thinking all these things, kind of what's going on. So when I go up there, I go, hey, what's going on? What's going on? So I'm looking around for someone else. I don't see him. She holds up this little bag. It's got a little bitty white kitten in it, dead, in a Ziploc baggie. And I was like, what the hell? And she's crying. She goes, he killed it. And she could barely talk, and she's all upset. And I'm like, what the? I go, what do you mean he killed it? I go, what's going on? She goes, my husband, I bought some cat food, and he told me not to buy cat food or he was going to kill it, and he strangled it. And she was all upset. Man, and my blood just freaking boiled. I mean, who is this jerk? I was like, oh my God. And I said, all right, so on a military base, we have a little bit more laws that we can enforce and everything. So, I mean, this would fall under the animal cruelty, you know, animal abuse kind of thing. So I knew at that point that somebody was going to jail because I was upset. So she's crying. I felt sorry for her, and she had her little kitten in the bag. And I mean, it was just kind of a sad thing. All of a sudden, here comes Billy Bob storming in the door. I told her not to spend money on that food. Oh man. She goes, that's him, and he drove without a license. He didn't have a driver's license. He followed me. I was like, dude, did you do? Yeah, I did it. I told her not. I go, get your ass against the wall. And he hesitated for maybe, I don't know, an eighth of a second. So I pretty much grabbed him, pushed him against the wall, kind of did an aggressive search, was pretty aggressive with him, more aggressive than I needed to be. And I was kind of leaned over in his ear, and I said, please resist arrest. Just give me a reason. I said, please resist arrest. And of course, being the pussy he is, strangling a little poor helpless kitty, he complied. Hey man, you know it's my cat. I can kill if I want to. And I was like, so ended up arresting him. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I was upset. I was only human. I was pissed. You know, it's not like I pulled out my gun and shot him, although I would have loved to bust his nose and have him bleeding there and strangle him like he did the cat. But I didn't, so I showed some reserve. And of course, you know, since I was a flight chief, you know, I didn't really have an on-scene boss who was like, you know, they're saying, hey, you know, you shouldn't do that, blah, blah. And if he complained, I didn't really care. Most people didn't like him. You know, a couple of guys did come to me later and go, shit, you should have knocked his teeth out, freaking jerk. But anyway. So that was one incident. And then another incident is I'm working as patrol on the base, and I'm going to a call. I can't remember what the call was. I think they were arguing. Possible DV, neighbors say people were yelling back and forth. So I get there, and on this base in Travis, they have an area where they actually allow trailers. So if you buy a trailer, you can park it, and they have hookups and all this stuff. So this was kind of what we call our trailer park area. And so I go back to this call here, and the late girl comes out, and she's like, yeah, you know, we're fighting, and he's being violent, and he says he's going to do this, and, you know, he's hit me before, but he didn't hit me this time. And I go, all right, well, I said, let me get some information. And of course, while I'm talking to her, he comes out. Hey, I don't want you talking to my wife. was like, dude, you need to chill out. I said, I'm getting some information here. I'll get to you in a second. No, fuck you. I go, okay, I'll pay attention to you now. I said, give me some ID. He goes, you want my fucking ID? So he pulls his ID card out and he flings it and hits me right in the head with it. And I'm like, oh hell no, you didn't just do that. So I calmly reach down to my radio and I go, send me code 3 cover, I'm in a fight. And I throw my radio down and it's go time. And me and this dude are going to blows. So we're rolling, we're fighting, and of course I'm wearing blues, so I'm in, dress slacks, the Air Force uniform, dark blue pants with a light blue, almost white shirt, with all my badge and ribbons and all, my web gear and everything. So I'm rolling around the dirt, I'm getting trashed. And this dude's getting trashed. And we're fighting for, I don't know, it seemed like a long time, but it was probably a good 4 or 5 minutes before I could get a couple more units there. So I hear sirens coming in the background, and I'm fighting this dude, and the girl's sitting there saying, you better stop, you're going to jail, I told you. She's nagging. So I'm down here fighting like, oh shit, I hope he doesn't go for my gun, I hope this is just a fight, and I got to kind of protect my gun a little bit, but I'm trying to get this guy in control, and I mean, we're rolling. It was a pretty good fight. So, but I didn't get cut, and I didn't get bloodied. So we're fighting, and the first officer on scene is a guy named Bill. I won't say his last name because he's hired as a cop right now working. But he's a pussy. And I called him a pussy, but anyway. So, and there's other incidents. I'll get to another video with him. But, so he's kind of one of those guys that tall, lanky, skinny guy, but kind of likes to strut around with his power and badge and gun. So he shows up and I'm on the ground. Well, most guys, when you're in a fight on the ground, they jump in the fight and start grabbing a leg, an arm, and helping you. Well, this dumbass is doing this, running around. I'm rolling around fighting, and he's like, he won't get involved. I'm like, dude, I said grab a leg, do something. And he's doing this, and he won't do any freaking thing. So I fight with this guy for another minute or so while he's standing there. So now I'm even more pissed. I'm pissed at this dude for trashing my uniform and getting me pissed. Getting all dirty. Now I'm pissed at this dumbass here who's not helping me, who's being a pussy. So I finally get the guy in a rear arm lock, and I get him pinned down, and he ain't going nowhere. And the fight's over, because I mean, I have his arm way back here, his thumb's up by the back of his neck, and he's screaming, I give up, I give up, I give up. I'm on top of him. Fight's over, and I got it. But I'm tired, and I can't reach for my cuffs, and I'm pretty worn out. So I go, Bill, give me a set of cuffs. So he reaches into his cuffs. Now remember, he's been dancing around for freaking a minute and a half while I'm fighting and didn't touch me or the guy. I mean, he, didn't do anything. So when I asked him for a cuff and I got the guy, he gets his cuffs out. He comes around in front of the guy's head and goes, you want to fight? You want to fight? And he swings the cuff, hits the guy in the face, it bounces off, hits me right here. I still have a little scar. And hits me in the eye, and now I'm bleeding. And I'm like, what the fuck? I said, Bill, just give me the goddamn cuffs and quit fucking around. So I get the cuffs. I get the guy in cuffs. The shift supervisor shows up. I think I was the flight chief or supervisor for law enforcement at that time, and the shift supervisor shows up. And when he shows up, I mean, I look like I've just been drugged by the back of a pickup truck. I am trash, holes, scar, bleeding. I look like I've been beat to hell. And actually, it wasn't that bad a fight, but when you see blood running down someone's face, and now I got blood on my uniform, and I got all this dirt and everything, everybody's immediately like, man, this dude, he fucked you up. I'm like, dude, I said it wasn't a suspect, it was dumbass Bill hit him in the eye, or hit him in the head with handcuffs, and then ended up cutting me. And he's like, oh, and the flight chief was kind of friends with this guy, so there was a somewhat of a cover-up. Because when I wrote my report, you know me, I don't pull punches too often. I'm like, after I had him handcuffed, then Bill hit him in the head. When he hit him in the head, well, my flight chief comes to me and goes, hey man, we don't want this getting out, and this is going to go to the base commander, and we need to be a team player, and we need to, can you just take that part out, and we're going to handle this internally. And, because I was friends with the flight chief too, and we worked together, and it was kind of like, what's the point? And, he shouldn't have done it. It was bullshit. But so I took it out of the report, and I said, during the scuffle, when I was fighting with him, I was inadvertently hit in the face with the other guy's handcuffs. So, was that the truth? Kinda. I mean, omission of the truth is a lie. So technically, it was a lie. But at the time, I justified it as the truth. And later, I ended up getting a lot of reprimand. And this guy, there was other incidents of him, and I'll talk about him later. But the case ended up, I ended up doing a report. Later on, they found out what really happened because they asked me, and I told them. And I told them that he wanted me to leave it out of the report. So they were like, oh, you shouldn't have took it out of the report. You made us think the guy did this, and if it was Bill. So I got a letter of reprimand, and Bill got sent to a stinking shrink to figure out why he was a pussy. And they sent him back to work. Later on, there was other incidents that they found out he was really a pussy and he shouldn't be carrying a gun. So they transferred him out of cops, so he wasn't a cop. And then he got out of the Air Force and now he's a civilian cop. How's that for justice? All right. Anyway, that's my crazy cop story. Don't be hating on me because I left something out of the report. I knew all you cops were crooked. That's right. I'm just a crooked cop. I beat up a guy who killed a kitty and hid something on our report. All right, well, enough there.